She was on TV, but she didn't have an offer of her own. She didn't have a list of her own. And at the end of the day, everyone always owned a piece of her. So if something broke in her life, which it did multiple times, she could literally be broke very, very quickly. And what every one of these really popular people have is very frequently they're surrounded by handlers who want the status quo, meaning if something changes, they don't have a job, okay? And they're gonna hide certain truths from the star. The next thing that happens is usually the stars are good at what they're good at and they're bad at a whole bunch of things. So they have to trust that their accountants are going to do something and so on. And they've got all these people around them and everyone's pecking on them, looking for favors. They're looking for status. They're looking for power. And you've heard stories about like Willie Nelson in the United States or Elvis, like their accountants one day won't pay taxes for 10 years. And they have a choice: work forever to pay the IRS or go to prison. Okay. That happens to tons of them. All right. So their battles that they deal with is on the surface, it looks like they've got a perfect life. On the inside, they're frustrated. They're fearful. They very frequently don't have control over their own lists, their audiences, their following. They're dependent on a lot of people to make all this thing happen. And they're closer to financial ruin than you can imagine. Right. And that I think is what I've found is in working with them, I have found with no exceptions, eventually founders, business owners reach a point, unless they've been really good at investing their money in a whole bunch of things, they've got all their equities in their main company. Okay. And they're a lawsuit, a government problem away from having it all taken away from them. And so what they seek, what we all seek, is freedom. We seek a direct relationship with our customer, the ability to generate revenue at will, and also to be able to protect our financial assets and hopefully be sovereign in the sense that we could invest in things where it's not going to be taken away from us either by the court of public opinion. You know, if you get canceled tomorrow, you're screwed. If at least in the US, I'm sure it's the same in Brazil, the government can just decide one day you're corrupt or you've done something wrong, and they can just steal your assets for any reason. They can make up a reason, right? Or throw you in jail or prison without real due process. And that is a greater fear, especially if you've been popular and you lose your fame. And there's nothing more pathetic than someone who used to be famous, who's trying to become famous again and is crawling and doing C tier and B tier things instead of playing the A game. And it is harder to come back from being a dead celebrity than starting off from scratch. And both of those are hard.